Now the time on Radio 1 is 7 o'clock, and it's over to Ed Stewart with another edition of Sunday Sports.
Hello again and good evening. The headlines tonight in the Rail Champions programme. Motor racing, and Niki Lauda of Austria is the new world champion after finishing third behind Regazzoni in the Italian Grand Prix. And in cricket, Hampshire are the new champions of the John Player League, and the new European three-day event champion is Lucinda Prior-Palmer, Princess Anne finishing second. The new British show jumping champion is Harvey Smith, and later in the programme we'll be hearing from Martina Navratilova, the young Czechoslovakian tennis player who's asked for political asylum in America, and news of the Harlequin Sevens at Twickenham, and how the DJs have been faring in Radio 1 Day at Brands Hatch. All that and lots more in tonight's Sunday Sport. Well, it's been yet another eventful day in motor racing, with torrential rain threatening the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. The same thing happened, of course, in both the British and Austrian Grand Prix earlier this year. But fortunately, the race was able to start, and it was won by Regazzoni in a Ferrari, with his teammate Niki Lauda finishing third to clinch the 1975 World Championship. From the circuit, a report by Barry Gill.
Well, a massive Monza crowd, well over 160,000. Fine sunshine here today, on a day that began with thunder, lightning, mud and floods that threatened the first ever cancellation of the Italian Grand Prix. But with just an hour to go before the scheduled start, the sun broke through. And how the wet, bedraggled, loyal crowd were rewarded for their patient patriotism. They saw Regazzoni, the Swiss-Italian who hasn't won a Grand Prix this year, head the race for every inch of the 186 miles to give Ferrari their first home win since 1970. They saw Emerson Fittipaldi, the man who won his first championship here in 1972, fight from 7th to 2nd place to surrender his title in triumphant style. And above all, they saw Niki Lauda, the 26-year-old Austrian, hold second place for 45 laps, giving way only to Fittipaldi to score more than enough points to make him Ferrari's first world champion since John Surtees in 1964. And to underline his triumph, the only man who could have beaten him to the title, Carlos Reutemann, finished over half a minute behind, fourth in the Brabham. And there was something for the British to cheer too. Fifth was James Hunt, despite a spin, to give the new Hesketh car its first points on its Grand Prix debut. Welshman Tom Price was sixth in the shadow. Byron Scheckter was 7th and 8th in the Tyrrells, and Harold Ertel and Brett Langer 9th and 10th in the two reserve Heskeths.
Sounds pretty exciting stuff, Barry. How did the race go?
Well, it began to tumultuous cheering as Regazzoni, who celebrated his 36th birthday on Friday, led Lauda off the line. James Hunt made one of his best starts to flash up the grid, but no one could catch the Ferraris. And then at the start of the second lap, chaos at the chicane. Nobody knows whose fault it was, but Jody Scheckter seemed to go straight on, Hunt and Fittipaldi followed him, Tony Bryce spun, and there was an accident involving Andretti and Peterson. Suddenly there were only 18 cars left from the 26 starters, as Bryce, Crawford, Sommel and Mass, Ertel and Eamon all made pit stops, and Scheckter would soon follow them. Now the order was established as these cars had hasty repairs: Regazzoni, Lauda, Reutemann, Fittipaldi and Hunt. But Emerson Fittipaldi wasn't going to hand over his crown from fourth place. First he battled past Reutemann, and then he started to chase the flying Ferraris. It took him 33 laps to catch and finally pass Lauda, but it was superb to watch. James Hunt lost his chance of a higher place when he spun at the chicane on lap 26, losing a place to Price. But he fought back to take 5th place and almost caught Reutemann for 4th place, finishing just 2 seconds behind him.
Well, a good day for James Hunt and the new Hesketh. What about the other British drivers?
Well, the man I feel most sorry for is Bob Evans in the BRM team. His race lasted about 20 yards when his BRM stopped just after the flag. Tony Bryce, who'd been a sensation in practice, broke a wheel in a chicane accident, which ended his race. But Jim Crawford of Bolton finished 13th for Lotus. But tonight, Monza really belongs to Regazzoni, Lauda and Ferrari. The Scarlet cars did all that could be expected of them. They never missed a beat. And Lauda, as so often this season, Ed, drove with his head to take the title with 55.5 points, Fittipaldi has 39, Reutemann 37, and James Hunt 30.
So congratulations to Niki Lauda. From Italy, we move on to America, where it's the final day of the United States Open Tennis Championship at Forest Hills. The women's double final is in progress at the moment, and after that on centre court will be the final of the men's singles between Jimmy Connors and Manuel Orantes. But overshadowing all that is the shock decision of Martina Navratilova of Czechoslovakia, one of the best young prospects in the world, to seek political asylum in America. From Forest Hills, Gerald Williams.
Martina's 18 years old, a sturdy, extrovert left-hander of enormous talent. She's the most promising tennis girl in the world, I'd say. And in the list of women's prize money earners over here, she lies second to Chris Evert, with nearly $120,000 this year, compared with Miss Everett's $260,000. Martina's a big star in America. She's particularly friendly with Billie Jean King and her husband Larry, and also with Billie Jean's coach, Frank Brennan. Even Martina's business manager is an American. Martina has just been explaining that her act is not a political act. It's because the Czech sports authorities wanted her to spend more time in Czechoslovakia. I asked her why she thought this was.
Well, they just wanted to make sure that I won't get too Americanized, I guess, you know, and then they wanted me to finish school and be a good example for the young people in Czechoslovakia, you know.
But you are very Americanized. You love it over here, don't you?
I really enjoy it here, yeah.
What is it about America you like so much?
Freedom. And whatever you want to do, you know, you can do. You can make up your mind and choose whatever you want to do.
What about your family in Czechoslovakia? Did they know you were going to do this?
They didn't know. I told them I might do it sometime, someday. No, I didn't tell them I would do it now. And, you know, they said, it's your life, whatever you want to do, go for it, you know, decide what you want to do.
You don't think this might place them in any danger at all?
No, I don't think so.
So, will you think of yourself now as a Czech girl or as an American girl?
Well, I think of myself as a Czech girl. I mean, I'm going to be an American citizen, but, I mean, I'm Czech.
It'll be interesting to see whether Martina, in fact, does play for her new adopted country. But from what's happening off-court to what's happening on-court, and on-court, the women's doubles final is evenly poised. One set all, first set to Margaret Court and Virginia Wade at 7-5 from 1-4 down, the second to Billie Jean King and Rosemary Casals 6-2. The men's singles final should be on in about half an hour, and the conjecture is whether Jimmy Connors will completely overpower Manuel Orantes. Orantes, you see, must be terribly tired. He didn't finish his semi-final against Guillermo Villa till 10:45 last night. A match in which he came back from 2 sets to love down, 5 down in the 4th set, and 5 match points down. Orantes won in the end 4-6, 1-6, 6-2, 7-5, 6-4, and it took him 3 hours, 44 minutes.
Right, from tennis now to cricket, and Hampshire are the new champions of the John Player League. They made sure of the title this afternoon when they beat Derbyshire by 70 runs at Darley Dale. The scores, Hampshire 222 for 8, Derbyshire 152 all out. The story of the match comes from Ron Gubber.
Well, Darley Dale, set in the heart of Derbyshire countryside, must surely be the prototype of village green cricket, with its uneven outfield, its short boundary, and its open-air press box. It was then perhaps a fitting venue for Hampshire to clinch the John Player League title. And, since the one-day game was designed to provide a fast-moving spectacle, appropriate that they should do so, aided by some sparkling batting from their openers Richards and Greenwich. Indeed, the only surprising detail is that this is Hampshire's first trophy in any one-day competition. Gilliatt won the toss and elected to bat, and immediately the Hampshire Terrible Twins set about the Derbyshire attack, clocking up runs at more than 6 and over, playing a brand of aggressive cricket entirely befitting the occasion. They put on 90 for the first wicket in exactly 14 overs before Greenwich fell to Venkat for 55. Richards went on to make 52 before he also fell to Venkat, but those runs took his total for the season in John Player League matches to 689, and that's a new record for the competition. Inevitably, after their star men had gone, Hampshire could not maintain the tempo, but a target of 223 to win always looked likely to prove too much for Derbyshire, and they were still 70 runs adrift when the innings ended.
Well, Hampshire's only rivals for the championship were Worcestershire and Kent, and they both won today as well. At Worcester, Worcestershire beat Glamorgan by 48 runs. The scores, Worcestershire 190, Glamorgan 142. And the details here from Peter Cranmer.
The feature of the afternoon's play was the fine bowling spell by Glamorgan's Nash, which included a hat-trick and 2 in 2. He took those 5 wickets in 8 balls for 1 run. And his final analysis, his best in John Player, 6 for 29. Well, Worcestershire won the toss, and Turner and Ormerod were both out at 70 after 14 overs. Yardley and Parker put on 38. Ben D'Oliveira gave us one of his extempore performances in adding 57 in 9 overs with Parker. Well, that was the end of the Worcestershire batting and the beginning of Nash. Well, when Glamorgan batted, they lost Margaret, caught by cousin Imran, with only 1 run on the board, and Hill made 23 of the 49 that fell for 5 wickets. Caudle and Llewellyn put on 41, but they were both out at 90 for 18 and 27 respectively. Icey and Jones and Richard showed some resistance, but it wasn't a good overall performance. Worcestershire can still be runners-up with the match in hand after today's win by 48 runs.
Meanwhile, Kent completed their programme this afternoon by beating Somerset by 21 runs. The scores here: Kent 193 for 7, Somerset 172. Watching this match for Sunday Sport, George Pixley.
Well, Kent won their last Sunday League match of the season, mainly through Mike Dennis, whose 116, his first century ever in the league incidentally, was the missing ingredient in the Somerset innings. The accurate Kent bowlers also contributed. They hit the stumps on no less than 9 occasions. Dennis's 100 coming in 90 minutes with 16 fours was an example of controlled, elegant aggression with strokes all round the ground. The other Kent runs came from Julian with 21, Luckhurst 19 and Johnson 10, which included a car windscreen shattering 6 over square leg. Well, Somerset needing 4.8 and over began well, with Peter Denning controlling the chase. But when Viv Richards fell to Underwood at 112, it began to look a forlorn hope. Denning went on to make 62 in 100 minutes, but with the ball now swinging about, the last 7 wickets fell for 60 runs. Brian Close made 16 and Tom Cartwright 13 at the end, but the bowlers had the final word, with Jarvis, Shepherd and Underwood all taking 3 wickets apiece.
And now the results and highlights of today's other matches from Phil King.
Starting at Hove, where Sussex beat Lancashire by 69 runs. Sussex 189 for 9, Lancashire 120. So not a very good day for yesterday's Gillette Cup winners, Lancashire, who put Sussex into bat and then saw Mark Faber hit 57 and Tony Gregg 52. Andrew Kennedy with 34 was Lancashire's top scorer. Mike Buss took 4 for 25. At Leicester, Leicestershire beat Gloucestershire by 4 wickets. Gloucestershire 156 for 9, Leicestershire 157 for 6. Andy Stovald with 45 and Sadiq 35 were Gloucestershire's top scorers. For Leicestershire, Norman McVicker returned his best Sunday figures of 5 for 19, taking his 5 wickets for 11 runs in only 5 overs. Then Nigel Bryars and David Gower put on a century opening stand for Leicester, Bryars hitting 45 and Gower 54. At the Oval, Warwickshire beat Surrey by 5 wickets. Surrey 120, Warwickshire 123 for 5. Warwickshire put Surrey into bat, and Steve Perryman and Bob Willis soon had them in trouble. Perryman took 4 for 19 and Willis 3 for 19. Warwickshire then lost half their wickets for 67, but Philip Oliver, 29 not out, and Derek Murray, 24 not out, put on an unbeaten 56 to win the match. At Brackley, Northamptonshire beat Nottinghamshire by 6 wickets. Nottinghamshire 148 for 4, Northamptonshire 152 for 4. The highlight of the Nottinghamshire batting was an innings of 81 by Derek Randall, with Mushtaq, 46 not out, Northamptonshire's top scorer. So the top of the table tonight reads Hampshire 52 points, Kent 48 and Worcestershire 46. Kent have finished their Sunday programme, but Worcestershire have a game in hand against Somerset at Taunton next week, and with it the chance to become the league runners-up. Finally, one other match today, a one-day match at Scarborough. T.N. Pearce's 11 beat D.H. Robins' 11 by 35 runs. Pearce's 11 239 for 6, Boycott 61, Hampshire 52, Robins' 11 204 for 7, Lum 64, Pilling 67.
Right, and that's for cricket. A great victory now in show jumping, especially in the European 3-day event championships at Luhmühlen in West Germany. After today's final event, that was the show jumping in actual fact today, Lucinda Prior-Palmer on B Fair was the winner of the individual title, with Princess Anne riding Goodwill taking the silver medal. Meanwhile, at Hickstead, Harvey Smith won the British show jumping championship on Speakeasy. Details of both events from Derek Thompson.
It's been a marvellous day for Britain in the European 3-day event championships, first and second in the individual and second in the team. And with no disrespect to the fairer sex, for a team consisting solely of women, the first time 4 women have represented Britain in this tough sport, you can say only one word, and that is brilliant. And what a day for Lucinda Prior-Palmer riding B Fair. She started the final day with a fence in hand over Princess Anne, and as both went clear in the show jumping, it was 1-2 for Britain. Unfortunately, though, Sue Hatherley had a bad fall in the show jumping on Harley. 40 penalty points for that, which destroyed Britain's hopes of winning the team championship, and that went to Russia. Well, here at Hickstead, we had an extraordinary final to the British Jumping Championship, with 4 horses through to the jump-off against the clock and only 2 riders. Unprecedented, I think, in the history of show jumping. I certainly haven't seen it before, with Harvey Smith through on both his horses, Speakeasy and Salvador, and Tony Newbury through on both his horses as well, Warwick and Snaffles. Well, Tony Newbury was the first to go on Warwick, and he had 1 fence down, 4 faults in 45.3. A good time, but with 1 fence down, Warwick really was out of it.